Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the 7-5 Corrupt Cops Who've Crossed the Line. I appreciate you guys checking back in and listening to the show. Please like, subscribe, and give a thumbs up to this channel. Hit the notification bell and you will be notified when there's a new episode coming out. I'm usually around a week to 2 weeks, and we're moving up there. I think this is episode 27. I don't even know. I'll figure it out when I do the editing, and I'll put it in the description. All right, so got a couple of stories today. Two basic ones, and we got some good Q&As that have been getting asked to me for, I don't know, almost since I started the channel. So I've sort of been putting this answer on the back burner, this Q&A on the back burner, but it's been asked so often, I just want to answer it and get it out of the way. And then there's some minor bullshit cops being in trouble, the same things that cops have been getting in trouble to quite a bit lately. So I'll go real brief over that. All right, so the first story is a Suffolk County cop, New York City. He's a 34-year-old, 5-year veteran. His name was Matthew Drury. If I pronounce that right, I know I botch names. And Matthew probably appreciates it if I botched his name at this point. He was arrested for falsifying reports and official misconduct. I believe correctly. Yes, official misconduct. He's been suspended with no pay. Matthew is, and I don't understand why he would be doing this. He's been accused of not responding to 911 calls that were dispatched by, his 911 comes in, goes to a 911 operator, it gets pushed over to the police dispatcher. Dispatcher puts it out to the radio call. He was dispatched to at least, they have him on at least 6 calls that he did not respond to, and he falsified reports that I guess he was there. Don't know why he would be doing this. Maybe, I could guess, maybe he was at a girlfriend's house, maybe he was fucking around doing something else. I don't know. Could be any number of reasons. I don't really want to, other than that bullshit guess I just put out there, which I probably even shouldn't have, because it's just my assumption. So he's been arrested for falsifying reports and official misconduct. Suspended, no pay. That's a really fucked up thing to get arrested over for that job. I mean, Suffolk County at the time when I was on the job back in the 80s, they were the highest paid police officers in the country. They were, I think, closing in on 100,000 back then. So I can imagine what the pay is now. So he fucked up that job, 5-year veteran. And we have some smaller crimes that I'm not even going to really get into. It's a couple of cops arrested for DUIs. Seems to be that's almost every show now. And the ongoing trend, man, there was 3 police officers arrested for being involved with sexual relationships with minors. That's one I just don't get at all, and it's ongoing. It's like it's almost every week now. We've done a couple of shows on it. I'm not even going to really get into these. It's 3 different officers, 3 different locations. A 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 14-year-old boy. The one with the boy was this dude was caught. He was on the grinder app. For those of you who don't know what a grinder app is, it's sort of the male version of Tinder, where you swipe left, swipe right. Grinder is supposedly just for males. Obviously, there's not supposed to be underage males on there. This dude was caught in a sting. There's a citizens group who pretended to be a 14-year-old boy. This cop contacted him, sexual exchanges back and forth. He actually I guess the overt acts could just be the exchanges of the texting back and forth on the app, and maybe some pictures went back and forth. I didn't get too deep into it in the story, but what really got him for the overt act, he went to meet the kid, which wasn't a kid, obviously, because it was a sting. So he was arrested at that location. All right, and that was a New Jersey cop that got hit with that. I'm not going to put out his name there. There is the other story we're getting into. Pick it up. The other story we're getting into is Dallas cop Brian Reiser. This dude was arrested in March of this year, 2021, and he was arrested on 2 charges of murder for separate incidents, not like 2 murders in one incident, 2 separate incidents weeks apart. So what happened was he was involved with, supposedly, this is all supposedly, allegedly, let's put, with a bunch of drug dealers and killers. And one of the victims was kidnapped and shot multiple times. And this Dallas cop, Brian Reiser, I have a photo of him, but I'll explain why I'm not putting the photo up as we get into the story more. So there was one murder, kidnapped, multiple shots, and this is back in 2017. And then a couple of weeks later, there was another murder, supposedly the same group, allegedly the same group of criminals. 3 criminals were arrested for the situation. One of them flipped. Person who flipped named Officer Reiser of planning the kidnapping, and it was a paid-for hit, supposedly, according to this cooperating witness who flipped. So the first one was allegedly, robbing a drug, supposed to rob a drug dealer location, much like myself and my ex-partner did. But then they went further. They kidnapped him and ended up killing him, multiple shots. Story doesn't really get into it. Then there's a second one 3 weeks later. There was a female who was killed, supposedly because she was an informant, according to this cooperating witness who flipped. And both of these hits were set up by Officer Reiser. First hit was for $3,500. The second hit was for $6,000. So the Dallas Internal Affairs kept investigating this. They didn't have any corroborating evidence on just, you can't just go on this guy's allegations and then go arrest Officer Reiser. So they were working on the case. Like I said, and so 2 years it took until March of this year. They finally arrested Officer Reiser. The reason they arrested him was, now, one, I'm assuming it's an internal affairs cop. In the arrest reports put down, the corroborating evidence was cell phone data and Officer Reiser's RMP, I guess GPS on the RMPs, put him in the location of the murders. So that was the probable cause to make the arrest. They make the arrest. It goes to district attorney, the assistant district attorney, probably. Maybe he conferred with his boss, don't know. They decide a month later, in April of this year, to drop the case. That the corroborating evidence, the supposed cell phone data and GPS data was not there. It was not verified. Now, according to this internal affairs cop who put it in the arrest report, when they questioned him about it, he said it was done in error. Now, I don't see how that could be done in error. Did he lie just to lock up Reiser because of the cooperating witness statements and he fabricating evidence? I don't know. I mean, I don't see how you put that down in error. Cell phone data that puts him in the location, GPS location from the RMP. So the case has been dropped. That's why I haven't put his picture up, Officer Reiser's picture. I think he's still under suspension, maybe suspension with pay. I don't know. I don't think I wrote it down. Blah, 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 blah. Informant, investigate, cell phone data. No, there was no information of whether he was suspended with or without pay. So I'm assuming at some point he might get his job back if they can't corroborate this cooperating witnesses allegations against them. So we'll see what goes on with that. That's pretty strong allegations. Not obviously not enough evidence, but more than likely, when there's smoke, there's fire. We'll find out as the story goes on. I'll try to keep you guys updated as I find out more. Okay, let's get into the Q&A. Q&A is this question. Actually, a few questions like this have been asked many times to me, and I've sort of been putting it off. It's questions about what my partner has stated in the documentary versus what reality might be, or actually is, as I explain it. So the only way I could put it is he likes to exaggerate as he tells his stories. Sometimes maybe outright lie, just maybe he thinks it makes himself sound better in the story. I don't know the reason for it. And I can say this because I was there. I know it's a lie, or a stretch of the truth to maybe make the documentary sound better. I don't know what's in his head as he's saying things. So I'll give the simplest one first, and then I'll give the one that's been come to me multiple times. The simplest one is after the thing on Avon Street goes awry, and we hear the communications over the radio from the DEA watching it, and we go back to my house. He goes, and there was no furniture in the house. Dude, we were there an hour earlier. You picked me up. There was furniture in the house. We leave, come back to the scene an hour later. Now you're trying to say there's no furniture in the house, and my wife and kids and dog are hanging out in the house with no furniture. Either that's the best moving company in the world that came in within an hour and moved all my furniture, and then for some reason, my wife just stayed in the house with no furniture with two small kids who would be bored out of their mind. Was at that time Nintendo was huge. My kid played it all the time. No cell phones, so what the hell's keeping them busy? We went back to an empty house. I don't know why he said that. Maybe he, again, makes his story better, like he suspected something was going on when he really didn't. So that's the simplest one, where he's telling a stretch of the truth or actually flat out lie. All right, the next one is people want to know on when the raid was supposedly going on Adam's store on New Lots in Vermont, and we supposedly saw the DEA, New York Joint Police Task Force, going to do a hit around the corner when we asked them. Didn't happen like that. I spoke when this all went down, and I spoke to the director, Tilla Russell, about conflicts in our story, because I was interviewed first and then he was interviewed. So Tilla would come back to me about, well, you said it this way and he said it this way. I was like, this is how it happened. That didn't happen. It would have never possibly happened like that. So the question is, how in the world, if the DEA has an investigation going on at that time, which they probably did, but it wasn't that day, of Adam's spot, and they went in, they bought coke, and they have undercovers and everything. Normally, when they're doing a raid on a spot, they have undercovers out in the street watching the location before the other officers come in to hit the spot, just to see what's going in and out and keep them apprised of what's going on before they do the actual raid. So he says we were in the back of the precinct and we saw the DEA and we asked them what's going on, and it's around, we're doing a hit around the corner, and we went there and he went in and told them to cut it down. Something that is true. Nothing to do with the back of the precinct. We were driving down New Lots going towards Adam's store. In the middle of the street is street crime, which is a citywide plainclothes unit, much like anti-crime is the plainclothes unit for just the precinct. Street crime is the plainclothes unit for the entire city. They could go anywhere in the city. So I see them in the middle of the street. My partner, we both see them in the middle of the street, and I recognize two of the guys that are doing the stop in the middle of the street, which is literally a block away from Adam's spot. So we stop because it's from Adam's spot, and I know the guys, so just to back them up and give them a little, security, help make them safe. So I talked to them. They go, no big deal. We're just doing a car stop. I forgot what their probable cause was to pull the car over, but whatever it was. So knowing this is right by Adam's spot, I tell him about competition across the street from Adam's spot. So they go check that out. Let's keep it away from Adam's spot. I tell them that. They finish up their car stop. Mike pulls right up to Adam's spot. And now this is the true part. He goes into the store, grabs 2 Heinekens, and does go to the counter, cut it down. Now, the question obviously was, if DEA had a big investigation going on, the way he told the story in the documentary, how the fuck did Adam move out all those kilos of coke and cash out of the store, and then they raided it and didn't find no kilos? Obviously, they would have never had time to do that. So there's a stretch exaggeration to what actually happened there. As we know, Mike's, he's a good storyteller. Sometimes his lies within those stories, exaggerations, make it a lie. Sometimes he does it to make himself sound better. Sometimes he tells it to just make the story sound better. I don't know, can't really answer why he does it. He just gets into it. Many people point out he's much like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas. Is very personal, tells a good story. He does. It's not true, some of the stories he tells. So that's the Q&A. That was the question people wanted me to clarify. The raid on Adam's spot. How would all that cocaine got out of the joint, and the undercovers, the raiding team not know all that cocaine was being moved. Obviously, this, when there's a raid going on, you watch the location. And if Mike went in, now there would obviously also be an investigation on us if they were actually doing a raid that day, because they would have seen Mike go in with a raid about to happen, and then they go in to raid the place and there's nothing there. There would have been an immediate internal affairs investigation on us. There was not, because there was no planned raid. And then, of course, he goes on to say, "Oh, they had searchlights, dogs." It's just him telling the story, making a lot of stuff in the documentary. I say about 85% of the documentary is hard hitting true, and there's a lot of stuff for entertainment value. They're trying to sell a movie, make it entertaining. So that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Please give a thumbs up, put some comments down in the comment section, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. You'll know when the next new video is coming up. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming out every time and participating in this and supporting the show. Thanks. Appreciate it.